In the beginning, there was only God, but God was not alone in the heavenly places. He was surrounded by a great family of powerful beings called the heavenly host or the divine council. With a word that sounded like thunder and a whisper that felt like light, he spoke the universe into being. He didn't just make a world, he designed a masterpiece. Stars were scattered like diamonds, and the earth was waiting to be filled with life. After the divine council watched God make the stars and the seas, it was time for the most important part of the story. God didn't just make animals when he made humans. He made image bearers. He created one single man, called Adam in Hebrew, which included both male and female. But because Adam was alone, God separated them into two distinct people, a man and a woman. God said, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness." He was the only creator, but he wanted his heavenly family to see his greatest masterpiece, you. God blessed the man and the woman and gave them a job. Rule over the earth and take care of it. We were born to be rulers of the world, working together with God as his earthly counsel. Being made in God's image means we are like his mirrors to be a reflection of his glory, majesty, and righteousness. You show the world what God is like, how he loves, how he creates, and how he leads. God brought all the animals to Adam to see what he would name them. Adam watched the strength of the lion, the playfulness of the elephants, and the sharp eyes of the eagles. As he spoke their names, he saw a pattern. Every creature had a partner that was just like them. But as Adam looked around the beautiful garden, he noticed something was missing. There was no one to talk to who understood his heart. There was no one to share his big job of ruling the world. Even in a perfect world, God said, "It is not good for the man to be alone." Adam was like a king of the earth, but he was a king without a queen. He was waiting for a special kind of rescue. Even though Adam had God and the animals, God designed us to need other people. Friendship is a gift from God because he knows we are better together than we are alone. We were made for community, which is just a big word for a family that works together. God caused Adam to fall into a deep sleep. He took a part of Adam's side and fashioned a woman named Eve. When Adam woke up, he shouted, "At last, someone like me!" The Bible uses a very special word to describe Eve, ezer kenegdo. In many books, this is translated as helper, but in the original language, it means a strong ally or a necessary rescue. It is a hero's word. Eve wasn't made to follow behind Adam. She was made to stand right beside him as his partner. Being an ezer is a massive job. It means you are the one who comes to the rescue when things are incomplete. Being a helper isn't a small role, it's the role of a hero. Suddenly, a new voice was heard in the garden. It didn't belong to God, and it didn't belong to the humans. It was the Nachash, the Shining One. He was the most clever of all the creatures God had made. The Nachash didn't attack with claws or teeth. He attacked with a question. He whispered to Eve, "Did God really say you can't eat from any tree in the garden?" He was trying to make Eve doubt that God was good. He wanted her to believe that God was holding out on them, that God was hiding a secret power that they could have for themselves. The Nachash is a master of half-truths. He takes something God said and twists it just a little bit to make it sound mean. Whenever you hear a voice telling you that God's rules are there to stop your fun, remember the Nachash. Eve looked at the fruit. It looked delicious. It looked beautiful. And most of all, the Nachash promised it would make her wise just like God. She took a bite and gave some to Adam, who was right there with her. In that one moment, the world didn't explode, but it did change. For the first time, Adam and Eve felt afraid. They didn't feel like rulers, like royalty anymore. They felt small and naked. They tried to hide from God among the trees. The perfect trust they had with their Creator was now broken. The masterpiece had been stained. Sin isn't just doing something bad, it is choosing to go our own way instead of God's way. When Adam and Eve ate the fruit, they were saying, "We don't need you to tell us what is good, we'll decide for ourselves." God didn't leave Adam and Eve in the shadows. He came looking for them. Even though their choice brought sadness and thorns into the world, God made an incredible promise. He looked at the Nachash and said that one day, a son would be born from the woman. The Nachash would strike his heel, but this son would crush the head of the serpent forever. This was the first hint of the rescuer who was coming to fix the broken mirror and bring the light back to the world. Even when we make big mistakes, God's first thought is how to rescue us. The whole rest of the Bible is the story of God keeping this one promise. Because of their choice, Adam and Eve could no longer live in the presence of the tree of life. God sent them out of the garden to live in the world outside. At the entrance of Eden, God placed powerful guardians called Cherubim and a flaming sword to watch over the way back. Adam and Eve walked out into a world of hard work and thorns, but they didn't walk out alone. They carried the memory of the garden, and more importantly, the promise of the Son who would one day open the way back home. The masterpiece was broken for now, but the artist was already working on a plan to fix it. Leaving the garden was sad, but it wasn't the end of the story. God let them go east of Eden, so that one day He could bring them back through the front door as heroes who had been rescued.